Welcome to 755 Live, about 5 minutes of what Jesus said. You can find a different command of Jesus every weekday at our Bible plan at bible.today.church. We just encourage you to follow along with that. Some instructions there. It's very simple to follow, and you can read at whatever level that you would like. The command for today is one that was directly to the Apostle Peter, but I believe it applies to the entire body of Christ as well. It's from John 21, 15 through 16, actually through 17, where it says, "Feed my sheep." This is after Jesus had appeared to the disciples. This is after Peter had denied Jesus and ran away. And really blew it. And so after breakfast, in verse 15, Jesus asked Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" I think he was asking, do you love me more than the other disciples do? And just trying to put myself in the position that Peter was in after having blown it, not really sure what his future holds. He says, "Yes, Lord, you know I love you." Then Jesus says, "Then feed my lambs." Now, reading this in English, we miss some of the nuances here. Jesus used a very specific word for love in verse 15. He said, "Peter, do you agape me?" That is the highest form of love. That is a godlike love, a moral love, an all-committed love. And so Jesus is asking Peter, do you agape? Do you love me with everything more than the others? And Peter responded with a Greek word, phileo, which is more of a friendship kind of love, more of a fondness. And he said, "You know that I phileo. You know that I love you like a friend." It's almost as if Peter didn't feel qualified to respond in the same way that Jesus was asking. And Jesus told him to feed, using a specific word for feed, which means to pasture, not pastor, but pasture, like to graze, to feed. And the word he uses for sheep there literally means my little lambs. So I believe Jesus is talking about us as the body of Christ, how we are supposed to care for and feed even baby Christians. And he's saying, "Peter, if you love me, do this." And then in verse 16, Jesus repeated the question, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" "Yes, Lord," Peter said, "you know that I love you." Once again, Jesus using the word agape. Do you love me with everything? Do you love me with a godlike love? And Peter using phileo, or phileo, you know that I am your friend. You know that I love you, kind of. And then Jesus says, "Then take care of my sheep." He's using different words here. He's saying shepherd, direct, lead, guide my sheep, older sheep. In fact, that can mean sheepfold, like a community. And then a third time in verse 17, Jesus asked him, "Do you love me?" And this time Jesus changes the word for love to the same word that Peter has been using. "Do you phileo me? Do you love me even like a friend? Are you even my friend?" And Peter got sad and grieved, and he said, "You know everything. You know that I phileo. You know that I at least love you that way." And then Jesus uses the first word that he used for feed. He says to feed, to pasture, to graze my sheep, adult sheep. And so I believe that Jesus is trying to help Peter understand who he is as a disciple, and that his responsibility is the same as our responsibility, to care for others. As we love God completely with agape kind of love, the response to that love should be taking care of one another. That is what church is about. Many times people say, well, I'm looking for another church because I'm not being fed. But as disciples, our responsibility is to feed and direct and guide others. No matter what part of the body you are, we are all called to feed one another, not just ourselves. That's the higher love. And we see that Peter finally got that. In 1 Peter 2:17, he writes, honor all people, love, agape, the family of believers, fear God, honor the King. That's what we are called to do as Jesus followers, as disciples. Who can we help? Who can we feed today? That's how we show that we really agape, that we love Jesus with everything. Jesus said, feed my sheep. How can we put that into practice today?